So I'm here representing both the National Psoriasis Foundation and also a coalition called the Safe Step Ad Hoc Coalition. I don't know if folks have heard that before. I'm seeing some head nods. And so what we're here to talk to you about today is step therapy reform, or the Safe Step Act. How many folks are like familiar with step therapy or even that bill at all? It's decent. Okay. At our recent Hill Day, we asked everyone if they've been through step therapy. About 75 people, and probably 80 to 90% of the room raised their hands, which is not really unique. It's a pretty common practice that we can get into in a little bit. But I'm going to first start out with a story of sort of when step therapy can go wrong. And this comes from an individual in our community. She came to our most recent Hill Day and shared this experience where she was about 19, 20 years old. She was really trying to understand what was going wrong. Her skin was starting to present in different ways due to the inflammation of psoriasis. However, she couldn't get in to see a dermatologist. And then when she did, there was months of sort of back and forth on what this is, what this isn't. And eventually, after about 6 to 9 months, she got a diagnosis. The physician immediately knew, like, this is going to be the best therapy for you. Went to fill it, couldn't get it, was told, hey, you're going to have to try a different treatment, one that actually was first in line at the time, but has really dangerous impacts to her ability to childbirth. And so she's sitting here at about 20 years old, having to make this decision of, like, do I go with this treatment where I'm being told that I have to sign this form that says I acknowledge that I may, something may go wrong down the line if I want to choose to have children? And she decided, okay, you know what, my disease is too much out of control, I'm going to do it. Went through it, didn't really work. Eventually, months later, she was able to get on therapy after kind of going through some of the process. But she changed jobs and a couple years later, and then had to go through this process again. Right? And so for her in this situation, her disease got worse over these months of trying to figure out, can I get to the therapy I want? Then B, she was able to get on the therapy that the doctor knew would work, but then she changed insurance plans and had to go through this like odyssey once more. And eventually in our community, for biologics in particular, or a lot of systemic treatments, if you take it and then stop, and then try to get back on later, it's not necessarily going to work again. So it's not as simple as just trying to say, like, oh, well, you can just take it now, here and then. And that's just an example from our community. There are, unfortunately, countless examples of when inappropriate use of this practice can sort of lead to worse health, which is obviously not the goal we all have. And so what this bill does, the Safe Step Act, it's HR 5509 S 2903, 150 plus co-sponsors in the House, almost half of the Senate here. So it is widely supported, very bipartisan, has been around for many Congresses. Our coalition is 200 plus patient, healthcare professional, physician, provider organizations that continue to lead the charge on trying to get that reform. I would shout out both Senator Murkowski, who's been a constant champion for this bill over the years, as well as Senator Hassan from Hampshire. In the House, it's two Georgia folks, Congressman Rick Allen and Congresswoman Lucy McBeth. But what does the bill actually do? The bill provides exceptions, so it puts guardrails around the practice of step therapy. Not trying to ban it, because there are uses within the paradigm that make sense, but when it's inappropriate, here are the exceptions sort of that we would lay out. If the prescribed treatment is going to do any harm, you don't have to take it. B, if you've already tried and failed it before, you don't need to do it again, which makes a lot, like, that's really common sense here, but that is something that continues to happen. And then C, if it's contraindicated, right, like if there's whatever's going on, you're not going to be able to take it there. And then an exceptions process of 24 to 72 hours. 72 hours generally, 24 hours if someone's life is at risk. So I would argue these are pretty like reasonable things to ask for, and we've seen that within the co-sponsor support over the years. What happened last Congress It made it out of the Senate Help Committee within the PBM package. And I guess I will end with over 80% of this country has passed reform on a state level on this topic. Relatively speaking, there's slightly different provisions in each bill, but generally speaking, all the same. And I think that shows you like there is enough support. The problem or the reason we need this federal bill is by and large, most Americans get their insurance from their employer, and those state level bills do not impact the regulations for an employer's insurance. It's called ERISA. So with that, I'll end early, I think. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And all right, thank you.